Battlefield 6 has been out for over a month, it's gotten 2 new maps, an entirely free-to-play Battle Royale mode, a Portal map is actually popular for something other than XP farming, there doesn't appear to be any major balance problems or game-breaking bugs, and most players seem happy with the game. And I'm sorry if I sound surprised by that statement. It shouldn't be weird that people are enjoying a Battlefield game outright, but there's been very few Battlefield launches over the past decade that have gone this well. And to even say that things are going well for Battlefield 6 feels like a massive understatement. Sales data for the game is estimating that it's sold over 25 million copies since launch, making it the fastest selling video game since 2022. And that likely means that it's outselling the likes of the recent Call of Duty game and has likely outsold, at least on a revenue front, any previous Battlefield games. The launch of RedSack and Season 1's content boosted Steam's player count by roughly 100,000 players, so I can only imagine how big of a surge that we saw on consoles, EA app, and all the other platforms that play Battlefield. And it's accomplished all of this while being up against some serious competition. Black Ops 7 and Ark Raiders both launched around the same time, and yet the game is still doing incredibly well given that crazy competition. And the usual places that I would go to find players ranting and raving about the states of weird little nuances of the game like Reddit and Twitter, most players seem generally pretty happy with the game. That's not to say that there aren't legitimate complaints about the game. One that I see a little bit more regularly and that I tend to agree with is that the game lacks bigger maps and larger sandbox feeling that the previous games have had. But DICE recently said that they're considering larger maps for future content updates to balance out the player feedback. They recently released an official community post that showed map design is now listed as under review and that the studio is watching how current layouts affect the feel of matches, with potential tweaks coming in future updates. The post also emphasized that DICE wants a mix of map types across future seasons, which to me implies that they want both tighter, smaller maps and the traditional larger sandbox style experiences. The new Eastwood map is pretty solid, although arguably a bit dense when it comes to the number of vehicles they cram into it. It can easily get quite chaotic, but visually it's one of the better looking maps in the game, and the overall design is still really solid. And I think the novelty of having a massive battle on a golf course is just not going to get old anytime soon. And the popularity of the player-made version of Eastwood and Portal is a real testament to there being a big demand for genuinely massive maps in Battlefield 6. We don't have a Gold Mud Railway or really a Caspian Border equivalent just yet. Obviously, for now, the silver lining is that Portal can let players create these kinds of maps if they want them. DICE also finally released a sandbox blank slate map that players can build whatever they want on, instead of just building on top of the existing maps. I recently made a couple videos talking about some of the craziest maps in the entire Battlefield franchise and some of the best maps, and it really did showcase some of the size differences that the other games offered compared to BF6, so hopefully some of that will be coming down the road. It's not like we need a ton of massive maps, but just enough to mix up that playlist in a more interesting way. And it wouldn't be a real Battlefield game unless we were getting all kinds of fun little leaks of upcoming content. Battlefield data miner Temporal is at it again. He's discovered a bunch of new content. It looks like we could be getting the MG5 machine gun, the Bren 2, the Scorpion Evo 3, and the Scorpion VZ61 machine pistol. In Season 2, we could be getting the AH-6 Little Bird helicopter, which is one of my favorites. We might even finally get some naval combat options in Season 3, as Temporal has discovered a jet ski that'll likely be launched in that season. They also discovered some new gadgets like an airburst grenade launcher, sticky grenade launcher, an anti-vehicle grenade launcher, and the RGO impact grenade. That has been a sore point from some Battlefield veterans who are used to getting cool naval combat experiences, as the lack of it in BF6 definitely sticks out. So if we're going to get a proper map with big bodies of water and naval vehicles, that could be a huge win. I mean, how cool was Parasail Storm in Battlefield 4 with all the dynamic waves and the attack boats fighting helicopters? It was pretty epic. Now, on a personal level, I'm still enjoying the game a lot. I'm impressed with just how easy it is to continuously join into a game and get a solid experience every time, which just wasn't the case with past Battlefield games, or at least a lot of them. That said, one of my gripes with the game is the weapon progression. I still find it to be a bit of a chore. Many of the guns don't feel particularly competitive until you unlock the higher level attachments, yet those attachments can take potentially days to unlock of just focusing on that weapon and only that weapon, making the unlock process feel extremely laborious. And I'm a bit insulted that DICE tried to fix this by making a bot mode to grind weapon attachments rather than just adjusting the progression curves to be less punishing. I think I would prefer some easier to unlock attachments and then just put stuff like mastery skins behind some long progression trees. That way, if you really enjoy a weapon and you use it a lot, you'll end up unlocking the higher level skins, and the attachments won't be gated to players that can sink 20 hours into using a single gun just to get the attachments. Now, to give DICE some credit here, they did massively improve the unlock challenges for other things in the game. In past Battlefield games, a lot of these challenges would have been baked into the game and never got updated, so poorly tested assignments used to stick around for the lifespan of the entire game, forcing players into some pretty awkward situations to try and unlock things. Fortunately, with Battlefield 6, it seems like they can update these challenges fairly easily, and they have, making it way less grindy to get some of the more important things that you need in the game. It's also nice that weapon meta hasn't yet become absolutely dominated, and this could be in part due to the slow progression systems, making it harder to figure out which are the best guns. I do see a lot of people using the TR7 and the Cord assault rifle. They're getting a lot of attention because of their extremely fast TTKs, but slower firing weapons are still very usable, and a lot of the guns in this game are still quite situational due to the maps not being entirely close quarters. It's possible that we will eventually head towards a more dominated meta experience, but DICE can always mix up the balance as needed. I'm used to Battlefield games establishing their weapon meta much quicker, and because it's so easy to unlock guns and get attachments for them in the other games, people would be using the meta weapons within weeks of the game launching, and then you just wouldn't see as much diversity. Now, RedSack has been an interesting addition to the game. Not only does it give players a free-to-play experience to get in and play Battlefield 6, but it is, without question, the best Battlefield Royale that they've made so far. That said, it does feel like overall the industry is trending away from Royales. They've been around for quite a while, and there hasn't been a huge amount of innovation in this area, and the Battlefield RedSack mode doesn't really innovate much. And things are trending towards some of the new extraction experiences, like Arc Raiders being a prime example of a game that's exploded with a refined multiplayer experience. So I'm not sure if RedSack really has any long-term staying power, but we'll just have to wait and see if DICE makes some big changes to it. I think having a much more meaningful progression system and reward system for actually winning a match could be an interesting way to incentivize players to play it a bit more. Overall, it feels like Battlefield 6 really is on the right track for a successful live service game long term, which shouldn't sound crazy, but it is kind of crazy considering how things have gone, especially with the last two games. The big challenge for DICE is to continue putting out interesting and engaging content. They have a million avenues to choose, and I'm not sure which direction that they're going to take. I mean, heck, they're probably going to take a bunch of different directions. The player count is starting to show signs of it stabilizing somewhere above 100,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is significantly higher than any previous Battlefield game has ever shown. And considering that the game has already sold over 25 million copies, I can't say I'm too concerned about the near future of the game. I think I'm really just thinking long term and keeping the game interesting for its massive player base. I'd be curious to know what you're enjoying in Battlefield 6. Is it the stuff I'm liking, the traditional game modes like Conquest and Breakthrough, or is there something kind of new and unexpected that you didn't think you're going to enjoy so much but you are? Let me know in the comments. And up next, check out my videos on the greatest maps ever made in the Battlefield franchise, and also some of the craziest maps ever made in the Battlefield franchise. These are really fun to look back on just what this series has done over the many years that it's been around. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.